welcome to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danica Foley Long, and I am here with Mayor Lee Dragna with the City of Morgan City. Welcome back, because it is like now you're about 6 months in your term. How does it feel?
It's just another day at work, but it's fun actually. It's fun helping people. It's fun getting projects done and getting them moved along quickly. You know?
Now, and of course, this might be a little biased, but I'm going to ask you for your very own progress report. How do you think you're doing as far as the progress that has been made?
Well, personally, I think I'm going slow, right? Just because I have the government to deal with. But when I ask people around town, they're like, man, you're getting a lot of stuff done. But I just move at a different speed than most people. So me personally, I think I'm doing okay, but slower than I really want to go.
Okay. Now, speaking of that, let's kind of recap some things. Of course, so unfortunate, but the way we get news today is not quite just KWBJ, and I'm okay with that. You know, I get it. You're going to get your news from somewhere else. But it's unfortunate. Sometimes you gotta take the good with the bad. And I tell you, on this show, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's talk about Facebook. Let's talk about the Lake Jam. First time for that in a long time for 4th of July, going from the Atchafalaya River riverfront to Lake Palourde lakefront. There was some talk of it, of course, online. Some in favor, some not. Why did you make that decision to move it from Atchafalaya River to Lake Palourde?
Well, multiple reasons. One, our weather patterns are just so bad that we would have tore our park up here in Morgan City really bad, you know, and it costs us a lot of money to fix it. Two, you have all this construction on a new bridge. So just those tarpaulins would have blocked. It had been a fire hazard if the fireworks would have fell on top of them, all right? And they would have blocked the view. And we couldn't shut down the old bridge like they normally do. That's where most people go to watch it, because we need that bridge right now because we're under construction. At the lake, we wanted to try a band venue, but we couldn't afford to go rent a stage and set it up, you know, the whole 9 yards. We want to try something new, give the people something to do. So we said, look, people like to be in a boat. That's social distance on its own, right?
Right.
So people started saying, hey, we come with our camp, we come with our boat. So we hired 3 bands. We made it an all-day affair, right? And we said, look, let's hire a sound system, which there's a couple highs and lows to this thing. You live and learn and you fix it, all right? But people had a really good time that were there. Fireworks come along, that's one of the lows, we'll fix it. But, you know, we heard a lot of great things, a lot. We heard a little bit of bad, but it was mainly because of traffic and people that were trying to go towards the Stevensville area. And
Right,
we set up contraflow in Morgan City, which we got rid of all the traffic in 20 minutes, right? Now, some people got hung up here and there, depending on what time you tried to pass through. And it's just something that we can make a little bit more efficient. But the first time, right?
Right.
First time, and it's free.
So that's what I want to ask you, what you got right and what you think you can improve upon. So pretty much what you got right in your mind is that the music went off very well. The attendance, what do you think about attendance?
Attendance was well.
Yeah.
Attendance was very good. And it will be more next time.
And having food and other vendors. That's something new.
They all did great. I think Central Catholic said they sold 600 hamburgers, you know, plus French fries. And then the Asian Cajun food trailer, they must have had it. You saw it. They had 20 people online all day long, the whole time. And then barbecue place sold out. The Boy Scouts did fantastic on their drinks. You know, the music, we should have had a few more speakers out closer to the water for the boats so they can hear it better. But that's a live and learn thing, a very simple fix.
Okay.
You know,
well, thank you for addressing it, because that's where we wanted to go with it. So some other things that we have talked about in the past, and I know you say you're going to stick it to the man, and I think you may have stuck it to the man. We'll see. DOTD, that's the man. The man is DOTD.
Well, I'm not going to say I stuck it to him. We had an in-depth conversation.
An in-depth conversation.
That turned out pretty good for us.
Okay, tell me how that was, because I know there are a couple of places you wanted fixed, particularly LA 70. And right now I saw some work on LA 70.
Yeah, it's
What's
like,
going on?
It's called 9th Street. Right
okay,
there.
right, 9th Street, yeah.
So we wanted to fix that spot right next to Shoney's, It always holds water. It's a big old dip. They came out, DOTD came out, met with me and Charlie Solar. We looked at it, and they said, if you can get rid of this water, we can fix this. So we put new drains in. We're going to get rid of that water. There's no reason to drive through muddy, nasty water all the time, right? And they're going to come fix the rest of that road right there, too. But we got to get it straight first.
Awesome.
You know?
Okay. You're right. Didn't stick it to the man. You had a very cordial conversation. And I got to get that right because people say, he stuck it to the man. I won't say that. All right. We're going to take a short break, but come on back right here. We have the mayor of Morgan City, Mr. Lee Dragna. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danica Foley Long, and I'm here with Lee Dragna, who's the mayor of Morgan City. Now, we will start talking about DOTD as well as what the city is going to be doing in collaboration with one another to fix the drains, but also fix the streets. So we know at 9th Street, the LA 70 conjunction, that is, right? It's going towards LA 70. So 9th Street, you're right, that little area would hold water. So now you're fixing that area. Of course, I've seen some work, and we have drains that are being put in, right?
Drain
pipes, right.
Yes.
Also, Clotilde Street, I saw some work being done on Clotilde Street. Pretty much one block is cut off. What's going on there? Is that also?
We had a lot of damaged underground services there too, and the road was starting to cave and break up pretty bad, and that's a really high traveled area. So we decided to use road royalty funds to fix that spot.
Okay. And right, speaking of road royalties, I mean, pretty much all the municipalities across the parish usually get some funds from that, and we are fixing streets. And what about sidewalks? Are we doing any type of work on sidewalks?
We're doing some sidewalks. So if an issue happens, say a sidewalk gets broke up, the city pays for all of the materials out of road royalty, and if it's the city's fault, the reason why it's broke is because the city, we pay for everything. If it's like a tree, or if it's somebody else breaks up the sidewalk, then the landowner pays the labor, which is like $3 or 25 cents a square foot. Is cheap. So we pay all the rest. The city pays all the rest. And it's technically their money too, because they pay tax, you know?
Right.
So it's a way of giving back.
All right. There are some demo projects, and I think the last time we talked, there were 5 homes that were up for demolition, and that is because they're just derelict properties that were, just not very stable. They were condemned. Pretty much no one was in them. Are you still doing any of that demo work?
We demoed them. We demoed all of them. And we have, I think, 3 more coming up at this next meeting, council meeting. I believe it is. I would have to double check that. But we have more coming up, and we're staying on top of it, a few at a time, to where it's not so much at one time.
And what happens to that property once the homes are no longer on it? Because obviously no one lives in it. So have the homeowners, or I know a lot of times you have these successions, and no one's in it. It belongs to the family. No one, like who's responsible? What happens?
We give them every opportunity to do something. It takes 60 days for this, then 60 days for that. Before you know it, it's 6, 8, 10 months down the road. That's what it takes so long. That's why we have so many of them in process at one time. And then once the council deems it needs to be tore down and says tear it down, then Public Works goes get bids and or does it themselves. Most time it's bid. And when it's tore down, the price, just for instance, say it costs $3,000 to tear a house down and haul it off. Well, then we bill on their taxes for that $3,000. Now, if they don't pay it, which sometimes is more than what the land's worth, then it will go up for tax sale, and then the public can bid on it.
Okay. And speaking of demo, there's the steam plant. I know we've talked about this in the past. You were saying it was coming up. We're going to be having the steam plant demoed. What's the progress on getting that?
They're about a week and a half into it right now. So they have excavators over there. They have a crew of about 6 to 8 people working basically the inside out. They got to get rid of some asbestos, undo some piping, make sure there's no explosion issues there. It's going to take a few months, for 4, 5, 6 months to get it completely.
That's a large,
it's big.
Project.
But they're working every day, 7 days a week on it.
And what do you plan to put in its place?
Well, a portion of that that some of that money that comes from the demo, we're going to use to build a new facility for our electrical department to house all their equipment, our SCADA system, and all of our equipment, our materials. And then another portion of it we're going to use to increase the size of the graveyard.
Oh, right. Okay.
We really need that.
Got it. Got
You know,
it.
but it's down the road a little bit, but we need it.
Right. All right. Well, we've got a couple more segments to go. Come on back right here on the Voice of the Coast. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, and we have Mayor Lee Dragna with the City of Morgan City. And a couple of things I want to touch on with you, especially some of the things you've talked about previously. And what is the status of the Hellenic subdivision property?
It's basically on hold right now. We're in the process of waiting on the drainage district, the St. Mary Parish Drainage District, to finish their pump station and close off the canal, which basically closes the loop. So our BFEs, base flood elevation levels, will go down in that area, so people can afford to build there.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll definitely revisit that in the future. Now let's talk about your social media presence. That's hilarious.
Oh, what you talking about? Wrestling?
The wrestling. Okay, so if you haven't seen it, I'm putting it out there just for folks.
That's
So if they
okay.
haven't seen it, make sure to go to Morgan City Auditorium and you'll see the mayor in the ring. Like, what? How did that happen?
What
Like, you're now
possessed me
giving.
to do that?
Yes, I mean, like, now we got to get you a wrestling name. So, I mean, what was that all about?
So Big Mike was going to do this event, right? And I said, I'll help you promote it because people need to come out. I think he sold 975 tickets in the auditorium. It was the loudest thing you can imagine inside of there. So he's like, man, we need to get the people really pumped up. So we're going to bring you up and thank you for helping us get this thing started, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, when one of them guys come up here, I want you to clothesline them. One of the bad guys. The bad, you got the good and the bad and the ugly, the bad, right? I said, okay. And they slung him up against the rope. He turned around and I clotheslined him.
You really clotheslined.
Like I felt bad after that. Like I hit him pretty hard.
So I mean, so you're on there, you're wrestling, and you're talking smack.
Yes.
You're the talkingest, smackinest mayor I know because now
It was fun, Tanika. It was just fun.
We've got this Bully Ball Classic basketball tournament coming up, and we have Morgan City Fire versus Morgan City Police. Now I admit, I talked a little bit of myself.
I saw a lot of smack going on.
Yeah, there's no honorable mention, just losers. But I think they took the high road. They always say, when they go high, when they go low, you go high. I haven't really heard the fire department or the police department talking smack. It's mostly just the public talking smack.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to get embarrassed. Somebody got to lose.
So you're right.
Somebody's gotta lose.
There are no second places. That's how I say.
right.
So let me ask you, so are you going to be out there?
Oh, most definitely I'm going to be out there.
Okay.
You know, I said on Facebook, I'm good for 20 minutes. If they need a break and they need me to get in, I'm going to wear my high socks and my headband and my shorts, and I'm going to go play with them.
Watch out, Larry Bird.
I'm not saying I can dunk the goal. You keep it about 8 feet, I can dump it.
Oh,
dunk it.
keep it 8 feet?
8 feet, I can dunk it.
Well, we definitely going to see this. Okay, well, let's talk about some other events going on in the city. We've got SMP that's actually coming back. I know it's not a city event, but the city typically does,
We do security,
a lot of...
we do the trash event, we help them keep it clean. We're going to run the street sweeper every night, when they're done, or every morning. Keep it cleaned up. If anything goes wrong, the city's going to step in to help them with it, Right. I mean, it's my understanding that they're doing a little bit condensed version, but now they understanding there's going to probably be more people there than normal.
Right.
So they're going to maybe ramp that up a little bit.
Do you think people are starting to just want to get out because of the aftermath of the pandemic, or is this normal? The bookings at Morgan City Auditorium. I mean, you have a couple of events. I've actually peeked my head in and saw the board, and there's a lot of things going on. So why do you think that is?
People going crazy at home. They need something to do. Why do you think we did the 4th of July thing? Why do you think we're going to do this thing at New Zora Church? We'll talk about that in a minute. All right? People need somewhere to go and something to do. And they're just by the wrestling match, which I've never been to one. First time ever been in one.
Okay.
975 people in the auditorium. That's how many tickets they sold. That's a lot of people to go watch the Men in Tights, right?
Oh,
All right?
okay.
But guess what? They needed something to do, and they enjoyed themselves, and it was a fantastic show.
Awesome. Men in tights, I didn't exactly think of it that way, but it's exactly what it is. We're going to take another break. And when we come back, let's talk a little bit more about the community. Let's talk about summer youth and talk about, you mentioned New Zorro, so we'll talk a little bit about what you, with the city, what you guys have planned together in that collaboration. So come on back right here on the Voice of the Coast with yours truly. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Now, a couple of things I want to get to before we end. Of course, I do want to talk about summer youth, talk about the collaboration between the city and New Zorro, but let's talk about something we have never talked about, and that is a wellness center, question mark?
Yeah, so when I ran for mayor, I said that we need a wellness center. We need a new pool. We need to fix up our tennis courts. We need a wellness center that people can use. Not so much just a gym, but we need a place that people can gather and they can do events at too. So we had some pretty serious inquiries from two large hospitals, which is Thibodeau Regional. So myself and a couple of the council members went to go check out Thibodeau Regional. Then I got an inquiry from Osners, who has been inquiring. They just finally getting to that point to go over to New Orleans. So I went to New Orleans and checked out one of their big facilities. Is really nice. And they're very much so interested in trying to work with the city on that.
So let's talk about this because Franklin Foundation has already laid the groundwork. They're actually shortly, I'm sure, about to start building their wellness center. What's going to be the difference between going to the one in Franklin versus one here in Morgan City?
Well, it's my understanding most of these places, you have to be a member, right? You have to pay a fee, you have to go to it, and it's more orientated towards health care too, right? So I'm not saying this wouldn't, but it needs to be orientated towards people to go swim in the pool, walk around an indoor track for older people, or when it's super hot, right? A gymnasium where you have basketball besides volleyball courts in it, right? More for more events of people to do than just pay to go to a gym, right? And then also whoever decides to do it is going to put in probably have a couple therapists and nutritionists and stuff like that in there. I'm looking at like a public-private partnership.
Okay.
The city does some, the private side, whoever it is, puts up some, and then both sides help run it.
So
that
I know
way it's
this
cheaper
is-
for both people.
And I know this is still just in the talks. I mean, is there a timeline of?
No, it's just in the talks. But,
Okay.
one of them is so enthused about it that they're willing to put their engineer on it and start drawing something up.
Okay. How about litter abatement? I mean, I know the beginning of your term, you started this citywide cleanup. It went over pretty good. I mean, are you going to do it again?
Yeah, we're going to do it again. I was talking to Beth a while back about it, and she's just like, Lee, it's so hot. We're not going to better get the people to come help. So whenever it cools off a little bit, I think we're going to do it again. But we're not seeing nearly as much now since the street sweeper runs 5 days a week, right? And the grass cutters pick up the trash before they cut the grass now. And when the city employees are riding up and down the street and they see some big chunk of trash, they pick it up and put it in their truck, right? Pride is happening exactly what we wanted to happen.
Now, I will say this, I'm a little biased because, I'm on Keep St. Mary Beautiful committee. And you just told me that there are signs that are being placed out that are fines and penalties for any type of litter. Where can we find those signs?
On almost every stop sign.
Really?
Look on the stops, it's right below the stop.
Okay.
Now, we can't put them along the highway because that's a DOTD right away, but you go look on any street. I mean, Mainly the main stop signs, not every stop sign, but the main stop signs, the four ways and stuff like that.
All right. So now, summer youth program. There were at least 2 sessions, and I know at one time folks were having issues as far as getting, because it's like $150 per session, right? Did you get a lot of kids involved?
Yeah, we had quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, we had quite a bit. I mean, for 2 weeks, for $150 is pretty cheap, right? And a lot of people were upset about not having a pool,
Yeah.
but there's nothing we could do about it. Our pool is irreparable. So that's why I'm working on this wellness center project
There you
to
go.
try and get this underway.
All right, and just very quickly, the city has collaborated with New Zorra Baptist Church for a back-to-school drive, which is going to take place Saturday, July 31st, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. They're going to block off a portion of Federal Avenue, so if you need some school supplies, you want some free drinks and food, go on out there. Talk to you guys later. Whew.